Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome once again to Sumitra Family Eye Care Center weekly Facebook Live program. We have had a successful run of 17 popular episodes thus far, today being the 18th one. And for a change, we are not going to talk about diseases or medical issues. We all know that this time of the year, around the winter solstice, it has been an occasion for celebrations in several parts of the world, even centuries before the arrival of Jesus. Christmas, as it is known and celebrated nowadays, is what we are going to talk about today. And for that, we are honored to have with us two eminent guests, all accomplished physicians and surgeons in their respective areas of health. Our guests and I share one common denominator, though. We are all from the MBBS graduate year of 1984 at Christian Medical College, Vellore, South India. But for restrictions of space and numbers on this particular virtual media, I would have loved to have all the other from our batch on the show as well. On behalf of Sunetra Family Eye Care Center, I have been fortunate and blessed to have received unending love, concern, support, and encouragement for all our endeavors from all my batchmates at all times. Welcome to you all.
Thank
For
you.
this show, we have with us Dr. Felsie Thomas. Please raise your hand, Felsie. Hi. Felsie is based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. She is a highly experienced and caring family physician and also specializes in occupational health medicine. She was born in Tamil Nadu, India, but was raised up in Malaysia and did her primary and secondary education in Malaysia itself. You guess what? She comes from a family of 24 cousins, that's 2 dozen of cousins, and upholds rich family tradition. Next, we have Dr. Shamla Anand. Shamla currently works as senior technical advisor for neglected tropical diseases with American Leprosy Mission. Earlier, she worked as an ophthalmologist for 27 years in mission hospitals in India. She now lives in Hyderabad and enjoys various interests outside her work life, baking being one of them, and wait for her tips on Christmas cake baking. Hi, Shamla, welcome. And last but not the least, we have with us a big man, Dr. Sunil Chandy, who is currently in Gurgaon, India. He is the medical director of ITC Healthcare Project. He is a cardiologist by profession and he retired from Christian Medical College and Hospital, Vellore, after a successful and dynamic stint as a director. Delivery of holistic healthcare from pre-hospital to post-hospital has been his passion throughout. Hi, Candy.
Namaskar.
At the outset, to all three of you, can we, for a minute, go back to our college days and ask each one of you your best memory about Christmas from college days?
Who's first?
Anybody who's ready with an answer. I know mine.
It's the carol round.
Let me answer before anybody else takes my point. I think the best thing was going caroling at night with all the student body, house to the campus. That was really good.
Okay, great. How about you, Sham? You were saying something.
I was saying exactly the same as Kelsey, that the carol rounds were one of my favorite things, especially when it ended. It was cold, it was early morning, and I still remember holding those candles and singing. I really liked that best.
How about the treats and the sweets that we used to look forward to while we used to go down carol singing?
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. I just remember standing in the cold with the candles.
Oh, I used to look forward to all the sweets from various houses. How about you, Candy?
Yeah, I remember the first year carol service, which was basically a time for the entire class, we were all freshers. We got together and sang songs, and it was kind of the fellowship of the fun of getting together was something that I still remember. We learned new songs and we sang the same songs that we used to sing in school, but with an extra josh. And some of the words of those songs I still remember. So,
Why don't you sing a line for us?
well, you want me to spoil the show? I'll oblige you. 2,000 years away, 2,000 years away, come all you unbelieving men. 2,000 years away, 2,000 years away. You can join, you can fill in the rest.
My best memory about Christmas at college is also related to carol singing. I used to take part in the language carols. And I think there used to be about 15, 20 various languages from across the country and carol singing on the stage in the auditorium. And in one particular year, I don't remember which one, maybe my second year or third year, I took part in all the language carols. So I never came down from the stage. So every group used to come. I was the only permanent, like a pillar I was standing, and the rest of the group used to shift. Okay. We'll get going with talking about Christmas. We'll start with Felsi. Felsi, you have been following rich family traditions. So, what are the family traditions? Can you talk about what you follow during Christmas, Felsi? Would you like to say something on that?
In our families, I mean, all the usual things, sweets and all that was there, but there was always this big emphasis on the Christmas tree. My dad liked to make innovative Christmas trees, and so it's not always the same green artificial tree. He liked to create his own, and so we children kind of picked that up from him. Most of the time, we actually go out on the streets and look for discarded tree branches in somebody's house which they thrown outside, and then we bring that in and decorate it. And it's so easy; you don't have to store it. When Christmas is over, we chuck it back out. So can you show us one with the bare branch tree? This was done a few years back. I'll get this one to show us that. Where we take off all the leaves, it's just a bare branch. We hang our decorations on it, and we light it up.
Okay.
Do you have the picture this was?
Yes. I do. I'm
Okay.
just trying to put it up. Just a second.
Okay. So that used to give us
Yeah. Is this the one you're talking about? Let's see.
yes, this is the one. My son, when he was to despair because I'll drag him around to grab this tree and drag it home. I don't know, maybe I messed up Christmas for him. There was one year when we were kids, my sister and I and my brother, and my dad actually strung a tree, a bare branch tree, up on the ceiling. He covered it with cotton wool, put the lights in, and then all the baubles hung from the ceiling. So when you walked in, it looked like some kind of a magic fairyland. I haven't been able to achieve all that. And this year being COVID, we couldn't go out and drag any branches. So we decided to do a ladder tree. So
Okay.
let me tell you what we did. Okay, this is one ugly ladder I had at home, which we decided to paint red. Okay. Okay, we gave it a facelift. Then we cut plywood just to fit into all those slots. And then we covered it with cotton wool. You know, when you can fry an egg off the pavement in Malaysia, it's nice to imagine that there's snow. Can I have the next picture? Okay, so that's my snowy Christmas tree. And this year what we did was we took all the things I've been collecting for Christmas and we just put everything into one place. So that's the Christmas tree we're having to this year. Can I have the last one? There, ta-da, that's my Christmas tree. You can see it behind me. It's all lighted up and all my paraphernalia is there. So the family usually looks forward to see what innovative trees we come up with. So this is one of them. The other family tradition we have is we always set up a manger scene. I bought this set from India on one of my visits. Mary, Joseph, baby Jesus, the sheep. So that's the traditional manger scene. We now have.
Can I close down this slide?
Yeah, you can close this.
Okay.
Thanks, Biswas, for putting it up.
Yeah, welcome.
Every time we went on holiday, we used to pick up little animals from those countries and we kept adding it to our manger scene. I'm sure none of these animals ever made it to Bethlehem, but our manger scene had all kinds of things. So on our trip to New Zealand, we had this little white sheep which I got.
Wow,
And
so cute.
because black sheep are also needed at the manger, okay? A lot of black sheep in our family. So that's it. And then, of course, from Jaipur, I got this elephant, colorful elephant. He makes it to the manger scene every year. Dad got this on one of his visits to Dubai, a camel. And last year, Sham and I did a trek, a Zongri trek in Sikkim. So, of course, the yak made it to this year, so we got the yak. And now my children also buy things. My daughter went to Peru and she came back with a llama. He comes to the main scene. And on our trip to Newfoundland, one ugly moose. I'm sorry it looks so bad. My daughters they wanted to take it away, but I brought the moose and a little puffin bird. These fast. So all these made it to our major scene. So now the family knows every time they go, they buy me some other exotic animal, and so we have all these things set up on our manger scene. One of the traditions that our family follows.
I noticed that why Royal Bengal tiger is missing. So next time I'm going to get you one.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, all of you had it. He's promised me a tiger.
Okay.
I thought the Royal Bengal tiger is on the show, sitting right on top.
Talking about Royal Bengal tigers, do you think children are actually scared of Santa Claus? Were you scared of Santa Claus when you were a small kid? Actually, what is the deal between Santa Claus and Christmas? Can you enlighten us on that?
Santa Claus seems to have taken over. Look at all our Santa cats, man. Okay. Actually, Santa Claus is based on a real person. Saint Nicholas was the bishop in Turkey somewhere in the 3rd or 4th century. Now, his family was very rich. He inherited a lot of money. And so he used to help out the poor parishioners. One of his famous stories is about this family who had 3 girls. The father didn't have dowry, and he was scared that those girls would be pushed into unsavory practices. So what he did was he got money, tied it up in a cloth bag, and every night he kept throwing gold into the house so he had money to get the dowry. And he's been always helping the poor. Now, these stories were gathered by the sailors, and later on, he became the patron saint of children and sailors. And Holland really took this. They have a whole celebration called Sinterklaas. And when they came to New York, which used to be called New Amsterdam, they kind of merged their Santa Claus and their Father Christmas, and somehow Santa Claus was born. And of course, now the legend has really taken off. Now he's in the North Pole, not in Turkey. He comes down a chimney. He flies all over the world. He has a wife. He has these elves. So it's just a nice legend that has grown around Christmas. And being Indian, mom, I definitely told my children, I am paying for your presents. No fat man is flying down a non-existent chimney. But they all know the Santa Claus story. It's a legend. It's fun. And children have been taught to know the reality and the legend.
Would any of you, like Candy and Sham, would like to add anything to that or comment on that?
About Santa Claus?
Yes?
About Santa Claus?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the Santa Claus, the origins of Santa Claus, which Chelsea has already described, it is something that has evolved over the years and has brought the sort of an icon to the celebrations of Christmas. Yeah. It's got very little to do with the actual Christmas story, but it is something that has evolved down these centuries. And today it is iconic. When you say Christmas Day, that comes to mind this little cap and fat man and red red gown and flowing white beard and all that. Although now there are different versions. There's a thin version. There's a not so white bearded version and all that. So that's the fun element of Christmas, and I think people enjoy that. This year it's been a little subdued because of COVID, but people do
Yeah.
enjoy it.
You know, Biswas, the original St. Nicholas was a thin man, thin and tall. Over the years, he has ballooned out the way we have.
Yeah, that's true.
Kelsey, one last question to you, or last point that I want you to highlight on is most people believe that Christmas is celebrated because it's Jesus Christ's birthday. But is it true that it is actually not his birthday? I mean,
Yeah, you know, it's true. It's a fun fact that Jesus really wasn't born on December 25th. So, of course, the next question is, so why are you celebrating it on the 25th? Well, we celebrate it there because we're not celebrating the date of his birth, but the fact of his birth. It's a day commemorating that God came to earth to save us, and he was born into this world. So it's just a day to commemorate the fact of his birth, not really the date of his birth. But it's fun.
when was Jesus Christ actually born?
They're saying that it might have been in spring because the shepherds were watching their sheep, but most of the things when we look through the Bible, I mean, if you go, it's probably October.
They
Sham,
say November 25th.
Pardon? Yeah.
November 25th is somebody else's guess. No,
Yeah,
one thing we know for sure, it's one of the 365 days.
I had read somewhere that it might have been in July, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be.
It's
It
just
doesn't
a
matter.
commemorate his birth. Yeah.
Shamla, you were about to say something on this?
Not
You
about
wanted to-
Santa.
No?
No. Nothing to add to what they've said.
Shamla, your Santa Claus cap is the prettiest of all among us. Is it made of velvet?
It's really, I don't know, some kind of.
Not the original one. What we have is all fake.
Yeah, same here. I searched for the original one. I couldn't get it.
You
Great.
can have this after I've finished this show.
Yeah, I'll take it right out of your head there. So, I mean, we all know, Shamla, that we all know about your cooking abilities and your baking abilities. I have tasted. I have had the good fortune of being at your house
Really good.
and tasting your food as well as your baking. I mean, how long have you been baking, and what do you like to? Can you tell us about your baking passion?
Well, I've been baking since I was 15. My mom used to let my sister and me bake whatever we liked, as long as we cleaned the kitchen up after that. And I find that, like, cooking food, it's such a basic thing to make food that feeds us, that feeds our families and our friends. And baking is really so easy and so simple. It's something that the entire family can do together. I guess that's why I like it, because it's easy.
So, for your baking, do you bake only during Christmas or throughout the year?
I bake every week, every weekend.
Wow.
Wow. Excellent. And so,
Yeah.
what's special about Christmas baking?
Well, for one thing, it's just the things that I bake at Christmas time. I mean, I make it only at Christmas time, so it's like the Christmas cake and the cookies. And so I really look forward to that because I only do that special baking at that time of the year. And I start preparing for it in November and start the actual baking in December, or closer to the middle of December, because it's still warm over here and food won't last that long if I keep it outside. And apart from family, there are my friends, there are the neighbors in our building with whom I want to share the joy of Christmas through food. And so I bake quite a lot to share it.
Are you going to feature in your friends list henceforth?
Yeah, if I could send it to you easily, I would. And also, I think for me, Christmas baking, it brings back the best memories of my children helping in the kitchen and the excitement that children have for Christmas. It just makes it. It's always special. Even this year, it's special. Even though family cannot, my kids and my granddaughter can't come. It's still special because of what I'm celebrating.
How old is your granddaughter? I mean,
She's
no.
3 years old.
Okay, okay. That's must be quite exciting for the entire family.
Yes. Anyway, this was. Can I ask you to show a very short video that of pictures that my son sort of put together, just to show what Christmas baking looks like in my house?
Okay, sure. Give me a second. I'll do share screen and entire screen and share, and then go to this video and full screen and play. Is that visible on your screen?
Yes.
Hmm. Wait,
Watering.
my mouth is watering and I'm drooling. Difficult talking. That was awesome. That was awesome. Tell us something about your Christmas cake, and aren't you going to at least teach us or show us how do you go about it?
Well, you know, everyone thinks their own particular recipe for Christmas cake is special, and I guess they're right. Um, Mine is special to me because it's adapted from a recipe that my mom used to use when I was a child. And I'll quickly take you through the steps of it. So, could
Okay,
you share the slides, the pictures
I'll
that
do
I
that.
have?
I'll do that. Is that on your screen now?
Yes, it is. Thank you. So, I think that the cake is only as good as its ingredients. So I use raisins and sultanas and currants and almonds, and I make the candied orange peel that you're seeing in the picture on the side myself. And I wash all the dried fruits and dry them so they're really clean, free of any kind of dust, any pesticide. So I do that in November. And then after that, I soak the raisins and the currants in brandy or cognac for about 2 to 3 weeks. So this is the preparation that happens in November. And the next slide. Yes, so like I make candy peel, I also make the black treacle and the mixed spice, which is added to the flour. And some people see it as a lot of effort, but for me, I see it as a lot of love. So that flour is mixed and sifted with the mixed spice and with the salt. Um, can you put on the next slide, please?
Sure.
Yeah, the next thing that I do is I mix the brown butter, the brown sugar, and the butter together. Before I had a stand mixer. This is a KitchenAid, which is now like absolutely a lifesaver for me. I had to do it by hand with the handheld one, and that used to take so long. So yeah, so once that's mixed in, then I add in the flour and the egg mixture, to which I've already added the treacle and some more brandy. And you need to put that in like a bit of the egg mixture with a little bit of the flour so that the whole batter doesn't curdle. And then that's how it looks when it's completely done, the last picture. Absolutely smooth. So then the next one. Yeah, then I just keep a little bit of flour that's, just a little bit of flour left over, and then I mix the dry fruits in it. You coat it with the flour so it won't sink to the bottom of the cake. And then just dump all those fruits and then the ground almonds into the batter and mix it all up. It's almost it's almost a kg of dried fruit for a cake. So it's really, as I see it, it's fruit held together by a little bit of batter. That's what it is. And lots of brandy also. The next one. Yes, so the cake is baked in a cool oven. Actually, it's what we call a cool oven, and it's baked for 3 hours. And one of the important things is to line the tins with newspaper so that the inside will not be uncooked and the outside get burnt. So you want it to cook evenly. And then after 2 hours, when the top is browned, I cover it with another layer of paper. So, and then in 3 hours, it's done.
Mm.
The next one. Yeah, once the cake is completely cooled, then I skewer with a little skewer. I poke holes in it and then pour the brandy or the cognac over it, and then seal it. Wrap it up in paper, and then outside the aluminium foil should never come in contact with the alcohol. So we wrap it first in the parchment paper, and then every week till Christmas, you open it up and you do the same thing again. So you fill the cake with brandy, and I use Hennessy, and the alcohol actually really just brings the flavor out of the cake and makes it moist, and it matures the cake. So my cakes are really easy Christmas cakes, and that's it. And the last slide now. Yes. So I want to end my little session with the youngest baby in our family. This is my granddaughter Coraline. She's 3 years old, and she's getting
She's
to
so
be
adorable.
quite an accomplished baker in her own right, like her mom and like my son, her uncle. And I just want to wish everyone who's watching this a Merry Christmas, and I want to pray that your homes will be filled with the true spirit of Christmas this year. Thanks so much.
That was great. I hope us as well as our viewers might be able to bake a good Christmas cake after watching your step. The only comment I'll ask Candy, Sunil Candy.
Yeah.
She mentioned using Hennessy cognac about in 4 or 5 steps. If you were making the cake, would you have tasted the cognac at every step, a spoon of it, and then forgotten to put the cake in the oven?
Sorry. Just say that last part again.
Meaning number of times that you used Hennessy cognac, if you were making it, you might have tasted the cognac a little bit at every step in addition to adding it, and then forgotten to put the cake in the oven.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 steps putting on the cake can be deleted. If it were you, you would have surely done it. But it's worth it.
Yeah, I know.
No, but one thing I know, I mean, what Sham has described, I've had this not from Sham's hand, but almost the same preparation, and it is really special. I don't know what it does to the cake, but it's absolutely exquisite, that kind of. And obviously, the steps described by Sham shows that she's an expert, because it's very meticulous, including opening it up intermittently and recharging the cake with the Hennessy again. These are all, this is the expertise that we are seeing on the show today.
Kelsey, do you also bake a cake at home in much the similar way?
Never. I don't have the patience. So I just wait for people who can make it to send it to me. I just make cookies. That's it.
Great.
But Vishwas, you should have devised some way by which the cake that Sham has made could also reach us.
I know.
That would have made it complete.
Yeah. Next step.
Yeah, Biswas, do you know she bakes her own bread every weekend? She never buys.
Yeah. Shamla,
Yeah.
every weekend you bake the bread, bake a bread or cake or something else.
Yeah.
No bread.
The bread is, I mean, I bake, we don't buy bread at all. We make our own bread.
Great.
You should visit.
A clap of hands for that wonderful cake.
Thank you.
Sunil Chande,
Yes.
Kolkata is waiting to listen to you. See, you have been delivering talks widely around the globe. We all know that. And you have been writing avidly in various media on various topics related to health and management.
Okay.
Your writings are so magnetic to the readers. What would be your message to our viewers on the occasion of Christmas 2020?
Okay. You have actually given me an opportunity to reflect when you asked me. I thought, what is it that I can tell medical colleagues and your colleagues who are listening to this program? And I'm sure all of us will agree that this year, 2020, has been a year of very strange experiences, of uncertainties, of turbulence. And nobody can say we really enjoyed it, except the fact that we've all been at home and enjoyed the company of our young dear ones and dear ones much more than we would do normally. But this has been an unprecedented experience and probably the only one in our lifetime. And what I noticed, not just for Christmas, but also for other festivals, that all festivals have been subdued this year. The churches, which are normally full with choirs and congregations singing choirs all over the world, has been practically empty. The carol services have been few and far between. If we read the business periodicals, we know that revenue from Christmas has been pretty low this year all over the world. Fewer trees have been sold, fewer cakes have been eaten, and fewer dollars have changed hands in the business of Christmas. So the question that I want all of us to ask is: has the absence of the usual extravagance, which we see and enjoy, and we must enjoy in malls and other places, has it been dampened this year because of COVID? It surely has been dampened, but I'm talking about, wanting to reflect. And what comes to me is, if you take this Christmas story back to 2000 years, I find that Christmas this year is closer to the original Christmas than it has been in all these years of our celebration. And the reason why I say this is the story itself, because although we celebrate Christmas with cakes and cookies and carols, the Christmas story itself is actually very human and very down to earth. If we go through that story, and I'm sure everybody knows, it's a story about two ordinary human beings, a man and a woman called Joseph and Mary, who came together under some special circumstances. And Mary was expecting her child, who was predicted to be the Messiah. But they were also on a census taking journey, which took them through lonely roads and atop a donkey, and they had no other way to travel. So there is a story of difficulty, of constraints, of pain, and a little bit of sorrow which these people went through. So to me, what has happened this year to all of us in different parts of the world, especially in India, is very similar to the pain that these two went through. Because this is the story of a pregnant lady who's almost going to deliver and has to go for her census taking. And she's at term, she's probably in early labor, and she desperately wants just a flat surface to lie down on. I'm sure women will understand this much better than we do. This is also the story of a relatively inexperienced husband, Joseph, who is wants to take care of his wife, running from pillar to post, and he's knocking on the doors of several motels and hotels and inns on the way, and he does not find a place for his wife to just rest her shoulders and her head. But there is one innkeeper, one hotel manager who becomes empathetic and compassionate. And he says, "Look, I don't have a regular room to give you, but I can give you my outhouse, which where normally domestic animals are kept. There is no room anywhere in the inn, but I can make something possible." And so the story goes that there is a birth which is undescribed, but I'm sure we can all imagine. Because there is no midwife, there is no anesthetic, there is no sterile gown, no proper bed sheet for Mary to deliver her newborn baby. And this is how Jesus came. It is not into a palace or not into royalty, but under very humbling circumstances. And what followed, which we read in a condensed story form, is there were shepherds who came, there were wise men who came into the same place. And imagine Mary's plight. She would have fled, she would have been anemic and tired and would have just wanted a little bit of sleep. And here we have guests who are coming in to see this baby because they know the significance of this child. She would have just hoped that it will be a short visit and they would leave, but it was very elaborate. The three wise men gave gold, myrrh, and frankincense. And so the story goes on that there was Herod the king who wanted to do away with this baby and all the other babies. And by divine guidance, they had to seek asylum in Egypt before they could actually come back to their homeland. So to me, this finds a parallel in the stories of many people in our country, migrants who walked long distances from the workplace to home, tired, some of them limping, some of them carry children, I'm sure pregnant women. I'm told there were a couple of deliveries. There would have been people who would have knocked on the doors of small hotels on the way and either found them completely full, house full, or too expensive to check in. And so they walked on, very similar to what Joseph and Mary did. And I'm not sure whether we did what was needed to respond in some way, even at a distance, to say that we will do something for you, we'll make a room for you in our inn. What we know is that they had a miserable experience. So I just want to draw these two parallels. One is this long journey of being isolated, tired, very difficult, and the needed compassion, metaphor of which was an innkeeper who said, "Look, I'll find you a place." And our lives, what you do, what we do, is actually that in our crowded hospitals, even if we don't have a bed, even if we don't have another appointment, we always say, "Look, I'll somehow see you. It may be a little late, but I'll do my best for you." And that, I think, is the biggest mission. And that is really the message of Christmas to me. And I just wanted to share this. The innkeeper becomes our temporary model for us healthcare professionals and people who are involved in any kind of social work, or anyone for that matter, to be able to say there is room in the inn. And that inn doesn't have to be a hotel. It can be your home, it can be your workplace, it can be your head, it can be your heart, it can be your home, it can be anything. There is place for you. We will make place for you. So come in peace and share my meal with me, sup with me, and we'll be only happy to have your problems sorted. So to me, in this season of constraints, there is no need to feel subdued because there is no bells and whistles and there's no loud carols here. There is still that message of Christmas which is very much alive. And maybe this is a divine way of telling us that Christmas still has great relevance in this broken, torn world where if the message of Christmas is about joy, love, and peace, this is the way that we can celebrate with people by opening our heads, our homes, and our hearts to people who are in great need. And I want to commend you, Ms. Was, for taking this ethos of compassionate care to the place that you work. And I know that your colleagues also are hand in hand with you as you do immense amount of social work and camps. Something that's very important, sight which gives you insight and foresight in their own personal lives. So this is what I want to convey to you, and if you have any questions, I'm quite happy to answer.
Excellent. You really emphasize on the true spirit behind the celebration of Christmas. Fancy, would you like to add a comment?
Yeah, Christmas is always about not just sharing among friends, but reaching out to those who can't pay us back. And I think this COVID that has really been brought to bear on us, and Candy's message has driven home that point.
Yeah. Shamla, would you like to say something?
Very, very profound. Thank you.
Isn't there a song to this effect, Sunil, that we were referring to yesterday during our Zoom meeting about Christmas is not celebrated out of a store, but more out of a heart? Something to that effect, somebody's song, 2 lines. It's a very nice song. So basically, Christmas is all about sharing, and not just making purchases in a store. That is how myself, I have been schooled in a missionary school, Jesuit missionary school, and college with you guys at Christian Medical College, and that is what I have learned and known. You know, in this city of ours, the city of joy in Calcutta, everybody thinks the best time to visit Calcutta is in October during Durga Puja. That's a huge festival. It is a huge festival because it is a festival which goes beyond communities, beyond the barriers of community. Durga Puja is celebrated by every community, and not just by Bengalis as such. Similarly, one of the things that if you ever visit Calcutta during Christmas, it is going to, you'll be amazed how big a celebration Christmas is in Calcutta, perhaps because of the colonial rule that Calcutta went through for so many, more than 100 years. So here, Christmas is a huge event, and it is celebrated by every community. And I'm going to show you a few pictures. Give me a minute's time. I would like to show you a few representative pictures of the celebrations that take place in Calcutta. May I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So Christmas in Kolkata. Very great Kolkata Christmas festival in Park Street. Park Street is a long street, and the entire street is lit up. And this is how it looks on Christmas Day, or over 2 days during Christmas. There is a Christmas tree, and Santa Claus even comes in a typical Calcutta rickshaw, and we have fun and frolic, and even a lot of shopping and shops along Park Street. Food, decoratives, and candle lighting. This is a very old tradition in Calcutta. Candle lighting outside St. Paul's Cathedral. You can see the cathedral in the background, and this is a long shot view of the St. Paul's Cathedral in Calcutta. This is how it looks at night on Christmas Eve. This is the inside of the cathedral. This is the choir, and this is how the mass takes place inside the cathedral on Christmas Eve. Calcutta also has a rich tradition of Jewish bakery. I believe they are one of the oldest bakeries in the country. The recipes are the same as they were, say, 120 years ago. That's it. That's a short glimpse of how it is celebrated in Calcutta.
Amazing, amazing. Unbelievable.
I think there's a lot of legacy of Mother Teresa and William Carey and the Sarampur College. So what you said is so true that Christmas is part of the Calcutta festival culture. You can see it so clearly.
Yeah. That is it.
Okay.
And that is it.
So want to wish all your beloved colleagues and patients at Sunetra a very warm, blessed Christmas and a prosperous new year to you, Nina, as you lead this organization into a brighter future.
Yeah.
And we join in the
Okay.
same wishes.
Thank you, and wish the same to all of you and your families as well.
Yes.
And
Joy of Christmas be with you.
our entire batch, and I'm sure some of them are watching. And the ones who are not will view this video on Facebook later, and I'll put up the link on YouTube as well. Yeah,
Okay.
for everybody to watch. It was great talking to you guys.
Thank you for
Sharing
organizing
your
this.
thoughts.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Bye. Bye.
Okay.
Okay, shall we call it a day today?
Happy Christmas, Kelsey.
Yes.
Okay,
Bye.
bye bye.
To all of you. Great.
Thank you. Thank you.